Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your host, Dion Davis here.
And your co-host, Chris Campbell.
And our special guest,
Ron Lynch.
All right. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank
you for having me.
All right. So we usually give our guests like 5 minutes to introduce themselves to the audience and tell their story.
Okay. Well, my name is Ron Lynch. I am 44 years old. I am a husband, a father. I have a 23-year-old daughter who is about to be 24. She's a school teacher. She has her own business in tutoring. I was going to say mentoring, but it's a form of mentoring. But anyway, I am an ordained elder. I've been in ministry in church for over 21 years. I'm also the CEO of Lynch Mentoring Services. It's been legit, I'm gonna say legit LLC for the last 3 years, actively, but I've been doing mentorship for at least 20 years as well. So I have a background in case management. I also have a background in coaching. I have a background in a lot of things. You know, I just move around however God see fit for me to move around to help people. Cool. So however that looks and whatever he anoints me to do in that moment, I'm that person. I'm that guy.
Okay. So what led your, I guess what started everything? What was the start to all of this?
The start to which part of my life?
So mentoring, because I know you said you were doing that for over 20 years.
So mentoring, it's pretty much how it started was I realized I was doing it unconsciously. I was doing it without knowing that it was called mentoring. And so after I found out it was called mentoring through jobs that I started working, I worked with CAPS, and I worked with some of the youth from Julian High School, and I got the opportunity to understand what they needed. And when I finally understood what they needed, I realized that, wow, this is the aha moment of it all. And what they need somebody to guide them through life, because it doesn't just stop in high school. You need mentorship all your life. When you become an adult, you need a mentor. You need somebody to hold you accountable. So my saying that I always say to my young men that I mentor is, I'm trying to be the person I didn't have. And so that's what I go by. That's the motto that I go by. You know, me trying to be the person that I did not have.
Gotcha.
So I have a question for you. So when you said you've been in the church for 20-some years, right? What made you say this is my calling?
So I've had dreams and visions about my calling, but I ran from it.
Oh, okay.
So it was like,
why'd you run from it?
I ran from it because I was scared of it. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I'm not good enough to do this. I'm not good enough to do what these preachers do and what I see them do. I'm unchurched. I don't have the religious look.
Right.
I had tattoos on my neck. You know what I'm saying? I come from the hood. I'm a fighter. You know, I've been through some things. Like, I'm not just your average preacher.
Gotcha.
So I felt like they won't accept me. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I would be rejected because I was not the cookie cutter image of a preacher, you know, with the 3-piece suit and the Cadillac. You know what I'm saying? And being able to articulate the word of God like most preachers do. And when I say cookie cutter, meaning they do the hooping and the Bible says. You know what I'm saying?
That's a lot.
It's like, are you okay? Do you need CPR? You know, those type of things. So it was like, I just saw that image and I was like, God, you keep showing me dreams of me speaking to a crowd of people. I would have these dreams and visions when I was like 14.
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, nah, I couldn't do that. That couldn't be me. That couldn't be me. No, that's not me. I'm the opposite. Lord, I'm a gangster. I'm not this preacher. But as time went on and life circumstances hit me, it was like, you either gonna do it now, or you gonna miss the opportunity to do something to help other people. And so I've always been naturally a helper. And that was something that my mother and my grandmother put on me that I didn't want. So they taught me how to serve. I didn't want to serve. I wanted to be spoiled because I was spoiled. You know what I'm saying? But they taught me how to serve. And even I remember being, like I said, 14, 15, 16, my grandmother would volunteer me.
Really?
She would volunteer, like when family members would pass away, my grandmother would volunteer me to be the pallbearer.
Really?
Yes. Wow. Like distant family members that would pass away, and I would look up and my name was on the back of their obituary to be a pallbearer. And it's like, I don't even really know them, Grandma.
I don't know you.
But she saw something in me as it relates to being somebody to serve. She would put my name on something. So even now, and with my mom, even now, my mother, she was kind of like the lead of our family reunion here that we have every year annually, Labor Day weekend. She kind of said, okay, I'm getting older. I'm passing this to you. So you do it. And it's not an easy task, but I found myself being the only one that can do it. To bring the family together from different areas and make it a success. So I know what I'm called to do.
Right.
I'm called to people. I'm called to help people. I'm called to direct people and show them, you know, what they need to do in life. So I look at mentorship and my ministry and I say they're both the same. Mentorship is ministry.
That's so true.
I got another question. You was talking about how at first you was scared to even do because that's something that I have a problem with, being like scared to take my calling, to have that, and also to have my special gift or something like that. I understand you probably said prayer or something like that, but I want to know your honest answer of what made you get over that hurdle of having that fear of being in front of people, or having that fear of not holding up to people's standards and stuff like that.
So this is the thing, right? I still get nervous when I preach. I still get nervous when I'm in front of people, and that's a good thing. You always want to have that because then you won't be caught up in being arrogant.
That makes sense.
And you won't be caught up in being prideful like you've arrived in it. So having a level of nervousness, I still have that. However, being able to be bold enough to do it, I had to get to that place. I had to get to that place. And the only way that you can get to that place where you're comfortable with speaking to people is you have to do it. Until you do it, you won't know that you can become comfortable in doing it. You can't determine whether or not you're great at something until you do it. And then you have to do it over and over and over again until you master that craft. Like, you got to master that. But you got to have the opportunity to do it. Even if you fail or you flop the first time you do it, you can take that and learn from what you did and say, wait a minute, I messed up right here. I didn't do this way. And you fix it. You fix it and you go back and you do it again. And you keep doing it and you keep doing it. And I had to do that. That's how I felt. That's how I feel more comfortable in doing it. But am I still nervous? Yeah, I still get nervous. It's a natural thing.
That's interesting. So how long, I guess, did it take you out of your time of mentoring and in ministry? How long did it take you to come to that realization that you're always going to be nervous? You're never going to have that perfect opportunity of like going up there and not being nervous.
I can say for the most part, right? When my family is present, my family gives me a level of peace and comfort, right? When they're present, when I'm preaching. However, I still get nervous with them being around. Because this word, just because they watch me grow up, we share the same blood and I know them, this word is still something that's powerful,
Right.
that I have to deliver to God. They're still God's people. So it makes me nervous because you don't know how something you may say out of your mouth may impact them, because everybody holds something. You can have a family member that you've grown up with them all your life, and there's still certain secrets about them that you don't know. It's still certain things they deal with that you don't know. So I get nervous knowing that I have to carry this word to God's people, family or not. So finding comfort in my family, like, hey, my family here. But at the same time, it makes me nervous because I have to deliver a word to them as well.
And on that note, then, how do you instill God into your family, your wife and your child?
So this is the thing, right? So my wife, she grew up in church. She grew up in church. She got a family full of church. They I guess you could say they've been in ministry forever. Her mother, her grandmother, her aunt, all of them, they grew up in church. So when I met her, she was a church girl. I didn't know nothing about church. You know what I'm saying? So those type of things, I was like, and she would say, yeah, I went to church last night and the prophet said, you gonna marry a preacher. Now we freshman, sophomore. She a freshman, I'm a sophomore. I'm like, well, it's not gonna be me, because I'm a gangster. So I don't think I see that happening right now, you know. So it was just like, nah, that ain't gonna be me. But later on down the line, I realized, like, wow, prophecy it was a true prophecy. However, with my daughter, I've always bought her her own Bible when she was little, and I bought her books that made the like children's Bible stories, so that she can, you know, make it simplified so she can understand the word on her own and what the Bible is about. But I also let it be known to them that you can't ride off of the grace and what God has for me. You get what I'm saying? We're still individuals who have to, every man has to work out their own salvation.
Right.
So I can give you the word and I can show you the word and I can be the preacher and the prayer warrior. I'm the one that's always praying. But at the end of the day, you still have a life that you have to live following Christ on your own. Because you were brought into this world by yourself and you're going to leave by yourself. So it's a balance. Every man got to work out their own salvation.
That's true.
That's everybody. So even when you have a family and you carry the burden of being the husband, it's still, once those individuals in your family realize, I'm not going to be the only one praying. I'm not going to be the only one walking with God heavy. Y'all going to have to do this on your own, because you got to work out your own salvation.
It's your own journey.
Right.
Yeah, that's just what it boils down to.
And it's like making sure that they all have their own foundation. in
Absolutely.
Christ. And not just you. And then by the time you know, she gets out to the world, she has a strong foundation. So it's the faith over fear.
Yeah.
It starts taking effect.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't have. And at the end of the day, it's not gonna rock her too hard to where her foundation is broken.
No, because she knows what the word of God says. She knows, hey, this is my dad instilled this into me. My wife knows that I've given her the word. You know what I'm saying? So it's certain scriptures that she'll give back to me. And I'm like, I'm glad you have that. I'm glad it's in you. You know what I'm saying? Keep that with you.
Right.
Because these are things that you're going to need to know on your own as an individual. I may not be with you. You know what I'm saying? And so how do you get yourself out of a jam?
Right.
You got to call on the name of Jesus. You ain't calling on the name of Ron. You're going to have to call on Jesus.
You're right.
So
You're right.
everybody has to have their own individual relationship with God to be able to tap into what he has for them.
He has in store.
Yeah.
So, what was your? I like to say test for your testimony. So, what was your testimony then to bring you? Like, yeah, okay, so this is what I'm doing. The devil out to get me. So I know I'm gonna be tested. So what was that test that he?
So I had a lot of tests, right? I had a lot of tests as it related to getting out the jam. And then I realized, like, okay, I wasn't even saved when God spared me from certain things. I wasn't even saved when he spared me from certain things. I've done some things, right? Not intentionally to hurt anybody, but to defend myself. I've, this is not bragging on this, but I've had encounters with people where I've had to fight. You know what I'm saying? I've had encounters where I have stabbed people before to protect myself or protect my family and situations. And even in those situations, I was not saved, and God graced me because I could have went to jail, and I probably could have killed somebody. But even in those situations, he graced me through those moments, even when I was a fool and just my temper said, I'm just gonna do this wild thing. Like I'm just gonna, the reaction of being just ready to fight. I grew up in a neighborhood that it wasn't the best. I grew up in a family that was some gangsters.
What neighborhood did you grow up in?
So originally, I'm from 79th and Normal.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But this was in the 80s. So then as time went on, we traveled, my mom moved with my granddad on 122nd and Eggleston. So now we're in the West Portman neighborhood, and growing up in the late 80s and early 90s, it was rough. You know what I'm saying? Like that was the era where we wore starter jackets and the big herringbone chains, and you couldn't, and the Air Jordans, you couldn't walk down the street because somebody wanted to take your stuff.
Oh wow!
So you had to stay in the like we had to stay in certain spaces and places so we could be safe with those type of things on. And with me, I went to grammar school at Metcalf across the street. So it was a lot of times that I had to put razor blades under my tongue.
Really?
Because I felt like, okay, if they gonna jump me for my stuff, somebody gonna get cut. This is a mindset that I had to use for survival in the neighborhood. I don't want to be violent.
Right.
But as a protector, you got to protect yourself. Violence comes with it.
And it kind of sounds like it was more like environmental.
Very environmental.
Very, and it curated this type of a fight or flight persona that you had to put on.
Yes.
And so I guess that maybe sparks another question for me. Like, do you think that could be the reason that's what sparks so much violence in the city now, is because so many people are in fight or flight, and it causes them to only react off of action instead of thinking.
100%. It's just now it's magnified.
Because it's everywhere, and it's mostly the young people that's not being brought up right is actually being the people that is scaring everybody else. They'll be the fight or flight.
Right. So I look at it like this, right? I look at this generation as being a failed generation.
Why do you say that?
Because we failed the generation that comes behind us, right?
Right.
Meaning, it's certain things we did that they just took and ran with it and made it worse. And I'm talking about the bad part of.
Yeah.
But there are some things that this generation has taken and made it better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the violence and the gun violence and all and the crime that happens in the world or in the city, it came from a place. It was taught. Mm-hmm. They just took it to another level.
Do you think it was because it was like let's say supervised as it continued? How it was able to grow is because it was unsupervised?
It was most definitely supervised when I was coming up. Mm-hmm. So it was certain street codes that you just didn't break. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was certain things you just didn't do. But now this generation is vicious. Mm-hmm. They will shoot up somebody's funeral.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is unheard of in my time. Like when I was coming up, you shot somebody's funeral up? Who does that?
Right.
That's the lowest of the lowest. Like that's just evil.
Right.
It's just certain things that you just didn't do. And this generation is like unhinged. Just
yeah. I wonder what amount of broken have they gotten to be able to just do unhinged stuff like that?
They don't care.
They don't care, and a lot of them are desensitized
to the trauma that they had growing up, possibly.
Yeah, not even the trauma, but just some of these games, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Some of these games that this generation plays has them living in that world, mm-hmm. And so they don't value humans.
Right.
They don't value humans like they should. Mm. Like with me, I can be driving and I can see a dog get hit, right? Mm-hmm. And that do something to me like, like I feel bad inside. And that's a dog.
Right.
This generation will pull out their phone and start recording and laugh at the dog.
They would.
You know what I'm saying? True. Is the empathy is gone. Because of this has been snatched away from reality. Mm-hmm. They're somewhere in a game. And life is not a game.
That makes so much sense. Because the game supervises or babysits us. Mm-hmm. Babysits, and I feel like now that you say that, you would remind me of like a GTA where we could just play the game.
Yep.
Thinking that it's something that's not gonna happen in reality, but then it's like they turn off this reality trigger in their head to just be like, we're always playing that game.
And I know how that feels because like even when I was playing, like I used to play GTA a lot, mm-hmm. and when I would stop playing GTA and I would go out into the world, I feel like I'm still in the game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I still like, oh wait, it's a whole armored truck that just went past.
Right. Yep.
Like,
talking about, what if I get in this car?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that it's like that mind, that thought starts creeping in.
A thought process.
Because I'm like, if you can do it in the game, then you can do it in the real world.
Yeah. So let me rob this car, or the person that's in this car, and let me carjack them.
Right. And that's why they're so desensitized. Because in the game, all you can do is just turn off the console and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah. So they're very desensitized.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess my question is, how do you be able to connect that for your mentoring business? How are you able to kind of reach out or connect to the youth of today for them to be able to kind of turn that version of them off?
So what I do is I bring them back to humanity, mm-hmm. to let them know that you are human. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You are human. It's okay to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. It's okay to go outside and get some fresh air instead of sitting in your room all day playing the game and smoking weed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's all you're doing is playing the game, smoking weed. Playing the game, go to sleep, playing the game. You need to get out and be a human. You need to interact with other human beings because you are using this as a coping. Something happened. Something happened. But in order to get inside of here, I got to get inside of here first.
That makes sense.
And the only way I can get inside of here is if we have a conversation to find out, why are you the way you are? And once I find out how you, okay, I see why you that way. Okay, I got to use a different strategy for you, because each one of my mentees have different personalities, different backgrounds, but most of them they have a lot of similarities. And they could relate to sitting there playing the game and smoking weed. They could do that. So most of them still smoke weed. They do. I don't judge them though. And this is the thing about our generation. A lot of them don't want to open up and talk to us because they feel like we are going to judge them.
Yes.
And it would be like, we feel like the older generation, they don't want to tell us about, like they don't want to tell us about the life that they lived before they came to the reality that they are at now.
Yeah.
Or didn't want us to
live this perfect
want us to
system.
be in this little bubble, to let us be in a little bubble, to monetize us the whole time. That's what I like.
Get from it.
Yeah, I get from that is you being monetized and being judged the whole time. You as a child, and then grow up and see the same people judging you into the world.
Because they don't accept you as an adult now, they still see you as a
a child, as the person that you were as the little kid, especially your family.
That's true. But the thing with that is, it was like this saying, don't do as I did, do as I say.
Yeah.
So
that's
so contradicting.
Right.
You know, what do you mean? But you don't realize that generational things pass down. So you're telling me don't do what you did, but some of this stuff is in my bloodline through you. So you saying don't smoke weed, but you used to smoke weed like a chimney through all of your 20s and 30s and 40s, and it's in my blood,
right,
to have that addiction or whatever the case it is. So you telling me don't be a pothead.
Right, and that's like a hereditary.
But you were a pothead. It's in the blood. This is where generational curses come from. And then you have to be the one to break it. So when you find out, like, yo, my mom it becomes a choice now. My mom or dad was a drunk, an alcoholic, or a pothead, and I find myself doing the same thing. I need to probably break this, even though they telling me don't do. They being hypocrites. But it's a way that you can tell your children, I don't want you to follow that path that I followed because I did what you did, and it's not going to end up well for you. Versus you being the authoritative parent saying, don't do what I did, do as I say. Well, I'm grown, so I don't have to listen to you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to rebel against your word because I'm an adult. Right. So I don't have to listen to what you're saying.
Because it's like a natural instinct to rebel against authority.
Natural instinct. That's it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I just mentor my boys. I meet them on the level that they are, and they respect me.
Okay.
They respect me because I don't judge them, but I guide them. You get what I'm saying? So it's gonna always be a guidance. You're gonna always learn something. You're gonna always be better by being with me, but at the same time, I'm not judging you from your environment. I'm not judging you from the family you come from. I'm not judging you from none of that because I've come from a rough family and I've been judged. You know, I've been judged and people told me, oh, well, you ain't gonna be nothing. You know, I got kicked out of high school my junior year for fighting, you know, because I was always fighting. I got kicked out my junior year, and when I got kicked out of school, I remember a family member telling me that I was going to be a statistic. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. That's how you feel? Okay. And in my mind, I was like, I got to prove them wrong. I got to prove them wrong. So eventually, you know, I went back to school, finished, graduated. But I just realized that you have to be careful with the seeds that you sow into young people when they are having a bad moment or a bad season.
Because it gets stuck in there.
It could have been stuck in my head that I won't be anything.
Right.
But instead, I was like, nah, I'm going to be something. So I try to pour it into my young people. You can be more than what they tell you can be. Because they telling you you're not going to get out the hood. They telling you you ain't going to, you just trash. They telling you this. I'm going to affirm you and reaffirm you. Like, hey, no. You're too smart. And I'm not going to let you get off like that. You're too smart. It's too much in you. You are a winner. You a good man. You going to be a great father. You going to be a great son. You going to be all these great things. Just giving them positive words, putting back into them because they've only heard negative things.
And that's what's supposed to guide them.
Yeah.
And that's what's supposed to guide them. Do you think that played a part in the mental health awareness event that you hosted this last Saturday?
Most definitely. I think that we all deal with mental health, right? And I think the statement that I made at the event is, well, I made two statements. But one of the statements I made was that I was in therapy for people who wouldn't go to therapy, you know? And then also that everybody is one traumatic event away from losing their mind.
You don't know how true that was.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you don't know. Let one traumatic event hit your life.
Right.
You don't know what that's going to do to your mind.
Right.
So you can't judge people who you see who deal with mental illness, severe anxiety, severe depression, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, PTSD. You cannot judge them because you are one traumatic event away from having all those things.
All those things. Yeah. And I want to say, now that you say that, I do want to say, I want to apologize. I want to apologize to Chris because he had, like you growing up, there was two traumatic incidences with your parents.
Yeah. At a young age, around 12 to 14, I lost both of my parents and lost them in a very traumatic way. One, my mom, I knew she was sick already, but she left before I could know that she was leaving because she was already in the hospital. Next thing I know, it turned to the worst. And when I saw her, and I got PTSD from that because when I saw her, she was blown up like a balloon. Like, have you ever seen, like, I like to understand it, like, she looked like the person from X-Men, the movie, when he came out of that water.
Yeah, I know.
And he blew up. Yeah, that's how she looked. And I was like, that was creepy to me. And then the way my father passed away of a peanut allergy at his job, he used to work for Greyhound, but he switched over to CTA. And when he went to CTA for like 2 years, he got an allergic reaction and went to the hospital and never came out. And yeah, like I have a lot of deaths in my family, but it's just like those hit the worst because I felt like I was lost at that moment. Like I didn't know where to go, and I went to drugs and alcohol, and like letting that cope my pains away. And it's not until like I was 14 or 15 that I even had an understanding of God, of who He is, and Jesus and everything like that. I didn't know anything about that until I actually went in and actually read the Bible and understood what it was. Like people was coming to me for advice, and I didn't even know how to explain it to them.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying back to the gift that I had. Like I had a gift that I can talk to people and listen to a person and understand their feelings and help them cope with their feelings.
Yeah.
But I never got to cope with my own feelings.
Right. So it's almost like have you ever went to therapy?
Yeah, when I was a child, it just like I didn't really accept it because like your parents say you go to therapy because you went through, or guardians tell you go to therapy
because you went through a traumatic event. But I'm like, I don't feel like going to therapy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to these
You're
strangers
not mature
about my
enough.
problem. Yeah.
And I think when you're so young and something like that happens, it's a numbing. It's like a numbing thing that takes place, right? And so you try to protect yourself. So if you do go to alcohol and drugs, that's part of the help numb, right?
Yeah.
So those type of things, it's like it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to go to therapy as an adult for the things that you didn't really deal with as a child. So you really didn't finish dealing with what happened as a child. And it's still showing up as an adult.
Yeah, it does.
So my best advice to you is go to therapy. We need therapy and Jesus. Jesus made the therapist. But more than anything, I always say this too, that the conversation of ministry or just talking, right? Talking is therapy.
Yeah.
Talking is therapy. Because that's all it is. When you sit down and you talk to the therapist, they're going to want to go all the way back from when you was a child and what happened, and they're going to build it all the way up. And then they're going to give you these tools. They're going to tell you about your triggers. They're going to tell you about boundaries. Yeah. They're going to tell you about how to use all these different tools when you feel like you're finna have a panic attack, anxiety attack, how to deal with all these things, right? But at the end of the day, it's really all about conversation. Yeah. And it's getting you to release all of that stuff that you didn't build up in you and you didn't get it off you. So it still sits in you, but it ain't off you.
Yeah. Just like the other day when I was telling you, or was it yesterday or today? But
this morning.
This morning. I was like having a conversation with him. I wasn't feeling up to it. Like I did my 15 minutes of prayer and going through the scriptures and everything like that. And then I was like, what is, like, I'm still in my mind. I'm still, everything is still jumbled in a ball in my mind. So I was just like talking to Dion earlier this morning and just telling him things I was trying to get done this week. And pertaining to my business and pertaining to what I want to go forward with. And I didn't even really need him to say anything to me back. I just needed to let it out.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you just said right there, like that was me having a conversation and let some of that pressure out of my mind out in the open so I can be more into it. Yeah. Like I can understand it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good though. That's good. I mean, you got to get that stuff off you. Because if you don't deal with it, it's going to show up somewhere. You have to deal with it. I went through a lot of traumatic events in my life, like even from being a child. And you watch all of these different bad things happen, right? And you look at it, you don't even know that you have anxiety. You don't even know what to call it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're just like, I'm scared and, the nervous. And
why can't I stop shaking?
Why can't I stop moving my legs and doing this and fidgeting? And
right.
These are little signs of being anxious and having anxiety and all these different things. But when you've been through so many traumatic events in your life and we normalize it.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, this is normal. But then when you finally get older and you realize like, yo, I got PTSD from the stuff that I dealt with and the things that I've seen. But as life goes on, this stuff weighs you down and you don't know it's weighing you down until you're getting ready to crash out.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening to me. I was driving one day. I had over the years, I buried two cousins that was sick, 60 days apart they passed. And I had to do both of their funerals. I had to eulogize them both. And then a couple of years later, a couple of years later, I lose my best friend. So I had to, my best friend from 10 years old up until 40. And so I had to watch him pass away. Like, he had cancer. So I had to watch him transition into something that I've never seen in my life.
Unrecognizable.
And I looked at him and I was like, I don't even recognize this person. Like, this is just, it was a sight that I had never seen myself. But I'm the minister, right? I'm the preacher, so I had to put on the face of faith. So I had to put on the face of faith and let everybody know, oh, we got to pray. God got us. But inside, I'm broken like everybody else. And I'm driving one day, I'm driving. And all of a sudden, my heart just started beating fast. And I just felt like the world was about to end, like I was finna just die. And I'm like, yo, this is not normal. I'm making a doctor's appointment. I go to make a doctor's appointment. And she's like, well, I'm going to, get you all these tests did and all of this stuff. And she's like, well, your heart is fine and everything. You wasn't having a heart attack. I'm like, well, something ain't right. She's like, well, nothing's wrong. Went on about my business. Driving again, and I'm just driving, and I'm in my thoughts. I'm in my head. And I'm driving. And I have another situation like that. I was like, this is a panic attack. I'm tripping. Like, I'm really, this is a panic attack. And I went back to my doctor and I said, hey, I need a referral to see a psychiatrist and figure out how I get through with these panic attacks. So I spoke to the psychiatrist. I spoke to the psychologist. Hey, I spoke to everybody. And I still was a preacher. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still needed Jesus, prayer, and therapy. And a few pills, some medication they gave
to
me.
keep you calm.
To keep me calm.
Yeah.
So therapy helps. It helps. So that was my main reason of putting together the mental health awareness panel, because I felt like it's needed. It's a lot of stuff that we don't talk about. And a lot of this stuff can be resolved just through the ministry of conversation.
Right. Yeah.
That's all it is.
It was so much that I learned in that quick. It was a quick 2 hours. The reason why it's quick 2 hours.
It was a quick 2 hours.
And it's like, so as they're talking about their stories, they're literally, we're at this point their therapists, and we're just hearing and how they had to, go through life and kind of recover through the trauma that they grew up through. And it was like, it wasn't the same story, but it was the same principles. And it was like, oh, okay. And that's how you dealt with that? That makes sense. Okay. It's not normal for me to feel that way.
Yes.
And so it was, that's why, like I said last night, that's why it just makes, I was really inspired to do another panel event. Because I'm like, no, more people do need to hear this. Because it's like, that so many triggers that we don't even know are triggers.
No.
And so much trauma that we just silenced because we thought because it was normal for us.
It was normal, yeah.
Yeah, I felt, and I have a story related to yours about your best friend. I had the same feeling about with my mom. Like when my mom passed away, I didn't cry or nothing because like I felt like I had to be a man now. I had to be strong for my aunt. I had to be strong for my sister. Like I had to be strong for everybody else because like my mom, even though she wasn't the matriarch of the family, she was still the one that was most loved out of everybody. And when she passed away, everybody was devastated. Nobody talked to each other. My aunt, she stayed in her room for months. Like she did not leave her room. And I would have to get up and clean up, cook, learn how to cook. That's when I started learning how to cook, how to cook a meal for my family. Everybody I used to have to cook for everybody because everybody was in a deep depression or doing their own thing. But I couldn't have that depression because if I gave in like everybody else, what's gonna get done? Well, how are we gonna move on? How how everybody's supposed to be all sad and everything, and nobody's moving on with their lives. So I had to make sure that they was okay. I had to make sure that my sister was okay, even though I feel like it hurt my sister the most because of the way she felt like she treated my mom. And my mom wasn't always, I mean, my mom all my life was always sick. She had type 1 diabetes. She had her leg cut off. Like, everything was, like, she was always sick. And I used to have to be her and home nurse. I slept in the bed with my mom till the day she died. And I had to really take care of her. And after that, that never stopped. Like, even after when my dad died, my aunt had like, that was her best friend. Like, it was just like another cycle of death that I had to keep going over and keep making sure everybody's okay.
Yeah.
I think that my dad's death did hit me the hardest. That's what I did cry, because I was like, dang, I have nobody. I have no parent I can't even lead on my father's legacy because I don't even have his last name. I have my mom's last name. And I was like, dang. So me coping through those experiences and still also going through puberty at the same time, it's just like, it was hard to keep up. And I do remember my crash out, and that's what landed me into the hospital.
Was that a couple of years?
No, the first time. When I was a child, like when I was 15, that's the first time I actually tried to commit suicide, and landed me in the hospital. I was like, dang.
So the thing with that is, like, everything that you're saying, it was people on the panel who pretty much had a lot of the same stories similar to yours. You know, one person on the panel, she lost her mom, and then she lost her dad. So same situations. Being the child and had to take care of the family. It was somebody on there that's a doctor. She had to, you know, her mom went away, you know, to jail, and she had to raise a baby that she had, 15, 16 years old. So it causes you to have to grow up fast and miss out on a lot. But at the same time, it wasn't fair to you that you had to carry the burden of the family as a child. Yeah. So while everybody else was dealing with their depression, you didn't get a chance to deal with yours.
Process it.
You know, they slept through theirs and stayed in the room. You had to cook and keep it going. So you didn't have a chance to mourning. It's okay to mourn. Yeah. It's okay to mourn. As long as it's healthy mourning. It's okay to. But you have to. Because if you don't mourn, it's going to sit right here in your heart or your stomach, in your head, your mind. You have to mourn. You got to mourn. You got to get it out. You have to. Because other than that, you'll become numb and cold, and it'll sit and it'll turn and it'll fester and turn into something else, like anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, all them type of different things that comes up.
Yeah, and I feel like depression, I mean, like, not only the depression, but the pressure to be that one person that is actually good. I'm not saying that my family wasn't good people, but everybody was doing their own thing at the time. Mm-hmm. But it felt like the pressure to keep up, that I have to do everything.
That's crazy.
It's like awesome. Fran Hammond did that, like the close the doors dude. I know he was doing that to get donations for the church, right? The guy that said, "Lock them doors."
So he was doing so in that case, right, in that situation, I had to get the story behind that. Mm-hmm. That was a conference that he was at dealing with that at somebody else's conference. He's rich. Yeah. He's already rich. He was at a place where they were raising an offering to pay for the overhead of the event. He wasn't doing it that wasn't his church. That was a conference that he was a part of. He is multi-platinum artist.
Yeah, yeah.
As a job. He has a job. He travels and sings. He goes on tour. He works.
He already has an income.
He has a job. So he was raising these funds for the people who he went to preach for so that they can meet the budgets of the overhead, that all the money that they spent to make this thing happen.
I didn't know that.
Nobody knew.
But they only saw.
But they only saw that clip.
Yeah.
So that's another way that the enemy uses pastors to make the church look bad. But if you watch the interview that he did, I think it was on Ricky Smiley, he was able to explain the whole story.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen in that moment. That happened last year.
Wow.
Wow. That happened last year.
And people are bringing it up now.
And they brought up a clip from last year.
That's how they always.
You get what I'm
say
saying?
that. They always say you can change something into manipulate something into a false
That
truth.
happened last year.
Yeah, just like the
crazy.
people is mad about the Pope being from Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
People gonna always find something, but
Linwood, to be exact.
I'm working on my own ministry, and I'm working on my own ministry and to start my own church. And the ministry that I was a part of, the pastor is not willing to surrender for the sake of the perks.
Okay.
But his time and his season is up because he's not growing the ministry. It's been 11 years and he has not grown it past 15 people.
It's been how long?
11 years. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when I came to the ministry, I was dealing with my brokenness and mental health stuff, right?
Right.
So I was really going there just to sit and heal. Because I had just left a ministry that I was a part of for 20 years. And it was some things that happened there that went bad that could have caused some people to get hurt. Like, it was real bad. And I just felt like I shouldn't have to go to church with my collar on and my pistol on my side too.
That's true.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I said, this is not safe. And the pastor wasn't willing to make it safe. And we had a relationship. We were close. And so I felt like if you don't feel that me and my family are that important enough to make it safe for me,
Right.
then I'm out. And so I went to this church, and I've been there for 2 years, and the church didn't even have central air. And my wife was able to get into finance, came in, helped with the finances of the ministry, got them out, got everything on auto pay, got the church out of hole, and it was probably like over 10,000 plus over. So yeah, I was able to go in and help implement some order and some structure as it relates to order of service in the church, and just bring some new ideas and suggestions that brought, made it a little bit more vibrant, as well as brought people with me to the ministry. With all of those things being done behind the scenes, my wife was able to get those finances and things in order. It put the church in a place to get a loan to update the ministry, update the building and the inside.
Right.
Okay.
So all of those
cool.
things were done.
That's cool.
But then I began to be in a position where I started to be, he started to resent me for the good things. And it was like, this is feeling uncomfortable now at this point. Because you are making it obvious that you are resentful towards me in front of my people.
Right.
So you're doing little things and saying little things to disrespect me and discredit me. And it's not cool. You know, it's not cool at all. Like, I'm not here to take over anything, and I'm not here to, you know, make you feel any type of way or feel bad. I'm here to help enhance.
And make it grow.
And I began to feel like he was resenting me for helping. So it was just like, this is unhealthy, because it started to make me feel anxious. And if I've dealt with anxiety before and, you know, panic and all of these different things, if I'm feeling something that's making me feel uncomfortable to the point where it's making me go backwards, you're not worth me having to go back to therapy.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now I'm utilizing the tools and boundaries. And you just not good for me in this season, because my mental health is more important than your insecurities. And that goes for anybody. Nobody's insecurities and the way that they feel about themselves, they're not going to tear me down to make me feel how they feel, because I've already been at my lowest. You get what I'm saying? So I've been at my lowest. No, when I tell you no, not even my mama is going to get me to that place where I'm going to have a panic attack or feel anxious. It's just what it is. Nobody. Because I still have to survive. People call it selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish to survive.
That makes so much sense.
And that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
So I guess one last, a question that I want to ask, especially with you being with your wife, you said almost 20 years?
Yeah.
20 years? So what were some things that...
It's longer than 20 years, because Mariah 23.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably been like 30. Well, no, I'm 44. It's probably getting closer to 26.
Oh, that's crazy. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So what,
it's not easy, though. If that's what you're getting at. Nah. Nope. It's not easy. It's not easy. No, it's not easy.
What? Well, okay. So I guess my question is, no.
Yeah.
But what I guess were some things that not only like drew you closer to her, but allowed. What were some things that you picked up on, which is how you knew she was the one?
I would say sometimes God will remind you of those conversations and seeds that were being planted about your future through prophecy. So she gave me a prophecy when I didn't know what prophecy was. And we were kids. You get what I'm saying? So here she is, this church girl. Talking about, first time she met me, she was like, "You gonna buy me a ring?" And I'm like, "I ain't buying you no ring." She had all these rings on her finger. I'm like, "I ain't buying you no ring." But these were little moments of prophecy that was being spoken. You know what I'm saying? I didn't catch it because I didn't know what that was until I got saved and started understanding these different things. Then she would come from the little revivals that they would have. They went to church all day, every day, all night. Then she'd come back the next day. Yeah, the prophet at the church said that I was going to marry a preacher. I was like, well, it ain't me. You get what I'm saying? Like, so when I went back to those moments after us having a child, it was like, wait a minute, yo. I had to get in alignment with being the man and then the husband to take the lead. She was saved. I wasn't.
Right.
So it was like, wait a minute. God allowed me to catch up. He allowed me to catch up to the prophecy to lead now as the husband and show her how it's supposed to go. So that's when I knew. It's like, whoa, okay, God, you put me in charge? Oh, you showing me and reminding me. Remember she said the prophet told her when y'all was 14, 15 and 16, she was going to be her husband, or she was going to have a husband that was a preacher. I'm like, it ain't me because I ain't a preacher. And then here it is. Man, God, I'm a preacher. All these years later, so some stuff just comes back to confirm what had already been spoken into existence. Even if other people didn't see it, including myself, God's word is still his word.
Right.
And it's going to happen. You may not see it in that moment, but it's going to happen. And I'm like, yo, that's how God works. That's why the Bible says that his thoughts are not our thoughts and his ways are not our ways. And that's what helped me like, yo, my mind couldn't even
fathom. It's so super
we young. She
right.
got little boyfriends. I got little girlfriends. You know, we dating. You know, we being teenagers. This is what teenagers do. But it kept us still in that space. We always came back to each other. It was us. It was us. You know, when you transition through decades and different phases of life with somebody that long, it's not easy.
Because it's like, are you growing up with a different version of them?
Yeah, you're growing up with a different version of a person. Their attitude is changing. Their personality is changing. Your attitude is changing. Your personality is changing. Your physique changes. Everything is changing and you're getting older. So it becomes a situation where you now decide whether you want to choose that person.
And would you say it's more about helping, not choosing, but like understanding that new version of that person, or working through that new version to, because it's like, you know, a new version of them is like, well, you knew this version, but now it's just that same version is still down in there, but it's like a different type.
So the thing is, right, let's just be honest, right? When you are in a relationship with a human being, there are going to be moments, days, hours, and or seasons that you are not going to like them. And they may not like you. But that's where it becomes a choice. Whether or not I want to still choose you. Because there's options. And then you can get divorced. It's easy now. You know, you sign the papers, and
Done.
we going on our way. So it becomes a choice. Do I want to choose you again? Every day we wake up, we have a choice to choose. Do I want to choose you? That's what it boils down to. Sometimes you feel like, look, I don't think we're gonna make it. I don't think we're gonna make it today. Today is not the day for us. We not gonna make it. This thing is over. This thing done ran its course. And then there are moments where you're like, that was a moment. You was having a horrible bad day. You was having a horrible bad season. And you were not likable. You know, when you go through things and body changes and chemical changes and all of that different stuff, it will affect who you become. When I was going through my episode of panic attacks, I was not the most likable person because I was dealing with something that I didn't understand and I couldn't comprehend it.
Right.
So I was not the most likable person. I was not the most easiest person to deal with because I was dealing with something that was out of my control and I didn't have any control.
And do you feel like because you didn't have any control and you didn't know how to deal with it, it kind of made you frantic, like it was like you were losing yourself?
Most definitely frantic and like I was losing myself, but also it caused me to be over protective of everybody that I loved because I didn't want anything to happen to them. Because when you're dealing with panic attacks, in your mind, not only is something going to happen to you, it's going to happen to the people that you love. So that's what was. So when my family members would leave the house, I would get anxious and begin to have panic attacks because I thought something was going to happen to them. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So I knew after a while nothing was going to happen to me because guess what? Panic attacks made me stay at home. So I'm fine at home by myself. But when my wife and my daughter leave the house, I'm scared for them because panic is fear of something bad is about to happen. So I was having the fear of something's going to happen to them. I'm good because I'm at home where it's safe.
Right.
But while they on their way to work, a car about to hit them, this is what your mind is telling you. Something is going to happen bad. So now you're in the house having a panic attack, and now you texting them like, yo, hey, yo, I'm having a panic attack. I'm about to call the ambulance. Because that's what it make you do. It make you call the ambulance. Like, I'm about to call the ambulance. I call the ambulance.
Yeah.
The ambulance come. They check your vital. What's happening? Well, now that I know it's a panic attack, I'm having a panic attack. It ain't a heart attack, but I'm having a panic attack. They're like, oh, let us check your vitals. Naturally, oh, well, yeah, your heart rate is up.
Right.
We're going to sit here for a little while. Okay. All right, sit there for a little while. I find comfort that they're there now. I know everything is going to be okay.
Everything.
Heart rate goes down. Panic attack goes away. So now I'm calm. That's how I knew it was panic attacks. That's how you know it's a panic attack. You find different. They like, well, you want to go? You want us to take you? No, don't take me nowhere. I'm not going to no hospital. I know what's happening here. That's how I was still in my right mind. It was just like, I'm having this because I feel like something going to happen to my people. It was so much bad things happening. I was expecting something bad to happen. You get what I'm saying? There's so much bad stuff happening, you begin to think something bad is about to happen.
And that's crazy because like when we had that car accident, I was thinking about that for you a lot, and that's why I would keep calling you and keep making sure you okay, or like check your location if I had it, and to make sure, okay, he's moving. He ain't
stuck.
in a.
So to get through it is, like I said, therapy is wonderful. Get therapy. Talk to a psychologist, psychiatrist, medicine if you need it. All that good stuff to help you, and Jesus too. But I had some people that was just so ignorant during that time. They were ignorant like me. They didn't understand it. So they would say stupid stuff like, and I'm going to call this stupid. They would say stupid stuff like, pray it away. I'm a preacher. Don't you think if I could pray this away, I would pray this away? I'm praying every day. I'm oiling my whole body up with anointing oil. My mind, my hands, my heart. I don't want my heart to be too fast. Everything, my whole entire body, I'm oiling it up. I'm listening to all the positive Cindy Trim prayers, prophetic prayers, healing prayers, all of this stuff I'm listening to, and I still have panic attacks. It's a chemical imbalance. Something is not right. So at the end of the day, we can't be ignorant to these things. We can't be so ignorant where our faith, we make our faith look stupid.
Yeah.
We can't make our faith look stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what it is. If I'm allergic to cats, right? But I have so much faith, the Lord is gonna cover me. But I know that I'm allergic to cats, and I'm gonna have an allergic reaction. My throat is gonna close up, my eyes gonna shut down. My breathing is gonna I'm gonna itch real bad. But I'm gonna be stupid enough
to go touch that cat.
To go touch the cat and go in an environment where the cat is. That's ignorant faith.
Yeah,
That is.
It's ignorant faith.
Say that, yeah.
Some people just say stuff that just, it's like, come on, you so religious. The Lord is, listen, I know the Lord can do anything he wants to do. But we also have to, as the scriptures say, faith without works is dead.
Yeah. So, and that note, I have two questions, but the first thing is I came across it. Well, I didn't come across it. I came to the realization yesterday when I was in the car with Messiah and having a conversation with him, and I said, you know what? I don't know if it's me being afraid of taking that leap. It's me being afraid of getting that test that's going to come along with it. It's meaning that. Sorry, the dog is back there licking on something.
Loki.
Is that water or the toilet?
The toilet. It was the toilet. It's the toilet. It's definitely the toilet.
Get away from Stop. Go to your room.
Like,
go to your room.
I know I hear it. You just drink it away. But no,
go to your room.
And I get, like, I don't, that's the thing. I don't want to be tested. But I know once I give that dedication to God and everything like that, I will be tested.
What do you, so it's like this, right? I used to think that way. So that's the devil. The devil puts us in positions where he says, if you stay stuck, right, and you don't do the thing that God wants you to do, then I won't come after you. I won't bother you.
That makes so much sense.
I won't bother you. I won't test you. I'll leave you alone. That's what he wants you to do, stay stuck. So he's telling you, yeah, you won't get the test if you don't go after the assignment. I won't test you. That's the devil.
Dang, now that you see it that way.
That's the devil telling you that, you know, if you take that assignment God gave you, you're going to get some.
I'm going to come after you.
With it. I'm coming after you.
See, that's scary right there. Like,
he's a liar, and it's his responsibility to make you stay stuck. He going to test you whether you do it or not.
Yeah.
He going to test you. Whether you do it or not, he's going to always test. You're going to always have tests.
Yeah, that's true.
Always.
Cause I still
so just do it.
Tests.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. You go do it while you're scared. Even if you're scared to do it, still do it.
And then, but that's another thing. I feel like if I am scared to do that, am I trusting in God that He's going to protect me? And that's why I keep getting it across. Like,
I guess it's still doing it even though you're scared.
Yeah.
Without faith, it's impossible to please God. That's the word. That's just what it is. You can't please God without faith. When you utilize and you put your faith into action, it has to be strategic. So you find a strategy to come up with. So if the devil decides to test me, I've already come up with a plan with my strategy on how to combat the devil already. His vices are not new. Satan does the same thing over and over and over again. He doesn't have any new tactics.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So you scared of somebody that's using the same test and tactics? What can he do that he ain't already done?
Yeah.
What can he do? It's nothing else, Satan, it's nothing else that he can do to you that he hasn't done already. That's where you build your confidence in yourself and in Christ. I tell people all the time, it's nothing you can do to me that it's already been done to me. It's nothing you can say about me that could break me. Because everything you can think of possible has been said about me or to me to break me. I've heard it all. It's not a devil in hell that can come to me and say something bad to me or about me that's going to break me. I've heard it all. Your daddy dead. I've heard it all. Your mama. I've heard it all. You fat. I've heard it all. So it's nothing you can do or say to me that is going to break me. I've heard it all. And that's why I walk in the confidence that I have today. Because there's nothing that Satan or anybody that Satan could use to do something or say something to me that's going to break me, because I've heard it all. His tactics are not new. And he uses people.
I like that. I like that analogy. It's already been done.
It's already been done.
It's already, everything you just said, like.
Yeah, it's already
It's
been
already
done.
been said. It's crazy because it's also, I mean, all his tactics are pretty much in the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, no, they're all going to be the same. You're all going to be tested. We already know how you're going to be tested. This is your instruction on how to get over it.
The map is already there in the Word.
In the Bible. In the Bible. Jeez.
I also want to ask the question, like, you been through a hard life and everything like that. So what would you tell yourself, your younger self, how to cope with that?
My younger self, I would say, to be honest with you, I'm gonna say it like this, because I've dealt with the verbal abuse, and like I said, I've been called everything, right? Yeah. So when you got a big family like the one I grew up in, and even the times that we grew up in, you know, people talk about each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to have tough skin to deal with those type of things, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, my family prepared me for ministry. So I wouldn't tell my younger self anything else different. I know that I'm that guy. Mm-hmm. And it's not arrogance. Mm. It's just that I know I got attacked because I was that guy. Mm. I know I got attacked because, and when I say I'm that guy that God chose. So I know that the reason that I was attacked and the reason that people said this or that or whatever the case it is because I'm that guy that God chose. You can't be that guy that God chooses and don't think you're not going to get darts thrown at you.
Right.
From your family, from your coworkers, from people in church folk. Everywhere you go and you feel like you end up in a situation where you are being attacked, that lets you know, God, you got me. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. Mm. And that's what you hold on to. I don't let anything shake me unless it's about to be a situation that's causing me to feel unsettled. That's why I left the church that I was a part of, because it was making me feel unsettled and unbalanced. That's a problem for me. Right. My body's warning me that this is not safe. So before you go into the backwards where you were back in counseling again and all of this, leave.
That makes sense.
It don't take nothing from you. You still are God's man. And that's just what it is. Ain't no beef, ain't no issues. I don't have any. I don't have no issues with nobody. But people will find a reason to have issues with you. So the little boy that lived on 79th Street, the little boy that lived on 122nd in Eggleston, I would tell him to still be who you are. I wouldn't tell him nothing different. Because he went through, that little boy went through what he went through for me to be the man that I am today. So I wouldn't tell him to do anything different. Because if I tell that little boy to do something different, then I may not be who I am today.
Okay.
Like that.
That was a great, gave me goosebumps a little bit.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't tell that little boy anything. I know people ask that question a lot. Like, what would you tell your younger self? I wouldn't tell my younger self nothing because I wouldn't be here today. If it was up to me to tell that younger boy, man, you know you should do this, you should have did this, or you this. No. That little boy probably would have murdered somebody if I told him what I think he should have done.
You don't know what path.
Yeah, so I had to let that little boy go through what he went through so this man can exist.
Turn you into the person you are today.
Yeah. So I have nothing to tell that little boy, but continue to be who God called you to be.
Cool. Well, all right. First, I want to say I thank you for taking out the time to definitely come into our podcast. Between the first time we had the conversation, I realized that you were definitely a person that I can look for or come to for guidance, come to for mentorship, come to for... No, I could see something in you that you were meant, that God put you here for a reason.
Yeah.
To be a leader for others, and then for the generations, the broken generation.
Yeah.
And so, and I appreciate you for accepting your calling and walking in that faith, because not a lot of people do.
They don't.
And I thank you for taking on the burden, or taking on that book bag, and being the true warrior that God had you to be.
I appreciate that.
And I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast too, even though it was a little short notice. but I really appreciate you coming and actually spending a lot of wisdom and a lot of mentorship. If he didn't need this, if he heard this before, I needed to hear this, and I really need, because you really inspired me and really helping me to change my way of looking on things.
Yeah.
Especially, I see a lot of things that you went through is kind of similar, because I was brought up in the city too, and transferred to the suburbs.
Me too.
But and I had to transition my life from that city life to suburban life.
Culture shock.
That part. And I just want you to know that I really do appreciate you coming and actually giving me good advice, because a lot of people that I do look for advice in it's the same old thing. It's the same thing that you hear, it's the thing that you written down on the book. But it's some things that people have wisdom about that you can't learn from a book, they learn from experience.
Yeah.
And I felt like this is words of experience from you coming to me. So I really appreciate that.
Well, thank y'all for having me, man. And I'm here. I'm here for y'all, beyond this.
Yeah.
So if you do need some insight on something, or you going through something, that's what I'm here for, to help y'all. And I'm going to give it to you raw. You know what I'm saying? We're human. We don't need a lot of stuff that comes out of a book. Sometimes we need stuff that come out your heart, because it's felt. When it comes from the heart, you can feel it, and you can feel it to the point, like you said, man, this gave me goosebumps and chill. That's when you know it's from the heart. And the wisdom that I carry, it did not come from me. I promise you, it didn't. This is a wisdom that God gave me that I did not ask for. But since he gave it to me, I had to give it out, because it don't belong to me to hoard it and keep it. That's selfish. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
God gave it to me for me to give it out.
You can definitely see God in your heart.
And that's what I'm serving. That's why I serve. Yeah. I serve because I know God gave me this gift. And that's just what it is. I have to give it back. It don't belong to me to hoard it. And it's a lot of people who hold on and hoard the gifts that they have, and they are not real mentors. Because mentors give you what they have and what they've experienced, and they want you to be, just like I say, I'm trying to be who I didn't have. Right. And I want you to be who you didn't have. You get what I'm saying? Some people grow up with a mother and a father, but you may have had a mother and a father, but it was some things that you missed. You get what I'm saying? So when I say didn't have, it's not necessarily always the person you didn't have, but the thing that the person didn't give you. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
You get what I'm saying? So you could have a mom and dad in the house, but it was a thing that you missed. And God will put the right people in your place to give you that thing. So.
Well, thank you. I really, thank you.